What was it like recording the coverage for the finale episode?
Was a lot because a lot went into that, and I know he was partly stressed trying to get everything how he wanted it to be. I know he had been thinking about how he was going to do it for a while, but getting everybody who was involved there and the planning of trying to get everybody in one place and to do a coordinated type of big send off also slash celebration of everything, just a big planning of thing like is as stressful as it is, but I'm glad it went as well as it did, and I'm glad he wrapped it up how he wanted to wrap it up.
Yeah, me too. And I definitely understand that, getting everybody together. It was in Hollywood, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool. You get to film the last episode of Smallville, your
Hmm.
coverage on it, and you're in LA, and you have, a big group of people there for part one, part two. Um, Man, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was a good day. It was a good day.
Right on. So actually, one of the first times I'd ever podcasted with you
Hmm.
and podcasted in general was when Zach had me on for the season 6, episode 5, episode titled Reunion.
Yeah, the Excelsior Academy.
Yes. Yes. Which I believe that was not a +1 for episode title said in said episode.
I think so. I think so. I don't think they said it. It's funny because they say it so many other times. Like Lex mentions and name drops that school so many other times, but he didn't do it in that episode. I'm pretty sure we talked about that. How weird
Right.
that was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very bizarre episode, I will
Hmm.
admit. Yeah. But it was so fun talking with you and Zach, and I think there was at one point we were talking about like high school band and stuff like that in the middle of the
Yeah,
episode, which you would think like how does that tie in? But like it just
it ties in.
oh yeah.
It
Yeah.
ties in.
So that was a really good fun memory of us first podcasting together. Do you have a favorite Smallville episode?
Homecoming.
Homecoming.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with Homecoming.
No, I think, Homecoming, I think it's the episode that I rewatched the most of Smallville. And I think it fulfills the promise of the premise of the show the most. And then also, I'm a sucker for It's a Wonderful Life styled and themed episodes, which that is. One of my favorite episodes of Arrow is the same way. The Three Ghosts is very similar in that regard. So is the 100th episode is also follows a similar thing. I'm a sucker for that trope, and just the fact that the whole show with Smallville is about you know Clark growing up, realizing what he's supposed to do when he grows up, right? Because again, this is something relatable for everybody. We all go through things like we're finding out what we want to do, what we're going to be, who we're going to be, right? And he gets to see it, and he's having doubts, right? As we all do at certain turning points in our life, but he gets the reassurance that like he is on the right path, and the things are eventually going to work out, and he doesn't have to be so anxiety driven about his future because it's brighter than he realized.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's and those are some of the top tier Smallville episodes. Like those
Yeah.
are some of the best of the best. I mean, you definitely can't go wrong there. And are way way better than what I have previously said is my favorite episode. So
Yeah. What was yours?
season 3, episode 4, titled Slumber,
Nice.
which I remember the first time I said that, Zach was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 hot take! I gotta hear why." Because like nobody in the world ever would say that. Like
That's
that's one of
so
their favorite episodes.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, everybody, it's so funny. Like everybody has like a sneaky favorite. They have a guilty pleasure favorite, like with everything, right? So there's no shame in it.
Yeah, and I know it's not one of the best episodes. I will admit to that wholeheartedly. But I think it's just like the kind of like the trope of like the surrealistic aspect, the dreamlike aspect.
Mhm.
Um, just always kind of drew me in, you know. And then there's obviously that iconic ending, with Lana, and who said anything about skinny dipping?
Yep.
Yeah, maybe in your dreams, Clark. And having like REM music the whole way
Yep.
through, and that was just brilliant.
It was.
So that's mine, I guess.
What a show, Smallville. What a show.
And I know it was funny because I remember I remember Zach was asking you or asking like what everyone on the episode was like, what was your favorite season? And you're like, if 10 was on like your season 9 or season 10 was your favorite, you're like, yeah, it's top 5.
Hmm.
So what would be your favorite season of Smallville?
Favorite season?
Yes.
I think my favorite season is 3. Um, it's like between 3 and 9 or so. I think are my favorite seasons.
Nice.
And the funny thing is, like, this both are at different, way different parts of the show. 3 is like the apex of where the show was in popularity and everything, but also it's at the peak of early Smallville. We still in high school, but we still have Freak of the Week. We still have like everybody that's involved is still heavily involved. It's not like cordoned off to be just like Clark, Chloe, and maybe some other person. Like depending on on the season of the interactions, everybody's still kind of interacting within the world. And then you have 9, where it's basically like Metropolis, and we're basically doing Superman stories, like straight up. Just he's just not in a red and blue costume. So different parts of the show, but still, those are really really great seasons.
And I believe that season 3 probably has the most impactful cliffhanger season finale,
Oh yeah,
you know.
100%.
Yeah. Which is crazy to think about because like season 9, I don't want to get too spoilery, but like obviously we know how season 9 how that ends and what it sets up for the beginning of season 10. And it's like to think that there's a season that did it better than that,
Yeah,
was but you know, everything like Lionel and Chloe and the house blowing up. I mean, it was just
yeah, you have that plus the Mozart Requiem going in the background. You can't go wrong with that. It just really sets everything up perfectly. The well placed song at the well placed time. There's nothing better than that.
amen, amen to that. What were your thoughts on the crossover?
The Crisis one.
Yeah, the crisis crossover. Yes.
Um, well, I thought it was fun. I thought it was very ambitious. I I have not revisited it since it came out. I remember being super excited about it because again, this is something it was unprecedented to try to attempt the crisis. And so everything that they were able to give cameo wise and all that other type of stuff, I thought was really fun. And you have to applaud the effort. I think in making it. Could the story have been better? Yeah, but like I liked a lot of the little moments that it gave us. It just unfortunately was not greater than the sum of those parts.
What were your thoughts on the Smallville aspect of it in the second episode?
It was just fun to see Tom again, honestly. And then I go back and forth on whether or not I I'm all the way down with how they handled it. Mostly because I do not like the notion of the heroes looking for retirement all the time. Like I don't like that. It seems like every single story that is to quote unquote be taken seriously with superhero properties is the last story or them looking for a way out or they're out but they have to get roped back in and they're cynical and jaded at the world, that type of thing. I'm tired of that. I with the superheroes, part of to me what makes them interesting and what draws me to them is the fact that they have this indomitable will and they have this indomitable uh, uh, conviction to persevere and keep going and like they are Don Quixote and the impossible dream. That is what to me that is what it is. And so when you take that away and constantly have them being wanting to to quit or to give up their powers and it's like, well, I can't do this anymore. It's just like, well, that's not why you joined up. Like you're a hero because you keep going and because you persevere, because you endure. And so even and like granted it's the life they chose, it's a hard one, but they are the people that do that. That's why they are looked up to, and that's why they are aspirational and inspirational. Um, so, um, so with that aspect, I don't necessarily uh, I'm on board all with it, but at the same time, like if having watched Smallville, Clark was trying to be normal for more than 50% of that show, and was talking about complaining about wanting to be normal. So it's kind of within the character. So that's part of the reason why it's kind of like. So at this point, I'm just kind of like, well, I was glad to see Tom. It was cool. I'm glad that he said yes to coming back to do this, because this is Tom pre Talkville, and he had barely just started doing conventions at that time. So it was so at the time it was like, well, this is great. We get to see Tom again. So that's kind of where I land on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know he kind of had a stretch there after Smallville ended where he kind of wanted to distance himself from it. It kind of seemed like he wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
he tried to do some, he did some movies. Um, he was in Lucifer for one of the seasons. Like I know he tried to launch his own TV show, Section 13, and that
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately didn't come to fruition. Uh,
He's in Draft Day. Speaking of another sports movie,
Draft Day, yes, Brian Drew.
yep, he's in Draft Day like where literally every portion of the cast is involved in some sort of superhero property. Hilarious.
I know, isn't that something like Kevin
It's a
Costner and
Costner, you have Jennifer Garner, Dennis Leary, Diggle's in the movie.
Diggle? Yes,
It's amazing. The Black Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther is in it. It's incredible.
Arian Foster is in
Arian
it.
Foster, real life football player.
Yes, and yet the movie still isn't all that great or memorable.
But that's why I love it.
We still watch it every year around draft time.
That's right.
That's yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. I almost forgot about that.
Yep.
So good. Well, while we're on the topic of Arrow here, to kind of finish up on this topic, what you had mentioned that when Arrow first started, that you were kind of hoping to be Justin Hartley's show because of how popular that character was in Smallville.
Yes.
Do you have a preference between Justin Hartley's Green Arrow and Stephen Amell's Green Arrow?
Yeah, at this point, my preference would be Steven, because he had more time. He put more into it than Justin did. Um, and, say what you will about him, but he is, at this point, the definitive one. Um, granted, we don't have a whole lot to go by, but he is the one. Um, and and I think there's have to be something said for that.